Well, it's hard to imagine a subject more universal than mathematics. Math is abstract, it's logical, it's the same no matter where you go in the world. You don't need to know any English to learn math. But while math is logical, people don't have to be. Now a group of academics is claiming that math is racist somehow. A new statement by the National Council of Supervisors of Mathematics calls social justice, quote, a key priority in math education and condemns, quote, the current unjust system of mathematics education, excuse me, which it says is defined by privilege and oppression. Connie Schrock is the president of the National Council of Supervisors of Mathematics, and she joins us tonight. Connie, I didn't think there was...
Tucker. Thank you.
Hey! I didn't think that math, being universal and logical, could be affected by racism. How does this work?
Well, in our position paper, I'm not sure that we ever used that word racism, and we're really not talking about mathematics. I don't disagree with what you just said as far as what math is. What we want to do is improve mathematics education for all students in our country. The bottom line of our mathematics leadership organization is about better learning for all students.
Right. Well, of course, I'm for that. I just wonder, though, if you're moving us closer to that. So this is from your website, and I can't find my glasses, so I'm going to try to read this. It says, a social justice approach to mathematics education means to imbue mathematical experiences with opportunities to learn multiple histories of mathematics, analyze issues of fairness, and promote civic responsibility in their own communities and beyond. Now, if you said to me, I'm going to teach your kids that instead of learning algebra, I would say, first, stop patronizing me and my children, and second, go ahead and just teach them math, okay? Because nothing in that paragraph is going to help them get ahead in life. I would feel like you were shortchanging my kids if you proposed that to them.
We don't want to shortchange kids, but we've got to be able to teach them situations where they can use their mathematics so they can transfer the knowledge they learn in a sterile environment so that people stop saying, I hate math. We want to change that perception. We want it to be the ticket to their future, not something that provides a barrier to their learning. So when you translate all that, the bottom line is we want them to be able to use mathematics to improve their lives and their future. But I'm still planning to teach them mathematics, and they still have to know facts. We just don't want them to teach and learn facts in isolation and not understand where to put it and what it's going to do for them and the use they would have for it.
So a lot of poor school districts have terrible math scores. So I think Detroit 8th graders, something like 7% are passing proficient in math. It's not a money problem. I mean, kids in Detroit, I think Detroit spends something like $13 grand per child, which is more than Fairfax County, Virginia, one of the best school districts in the country. What do you think's gone wrong there? And this is a sincere question. I don't know the answer to it, but I would think this is the kind of thing you're thinking about. Why do you think that is? It's such a sad number, a terrible number.
It is a terrible number, and you know, education is important, but it doesn't take away all the other barriers these children face before they come to school.
Right.
We can't take care of those things that happen to them before they got to school. And what we're trying to do is provide mathematics education leaders with information. We want to share with the leaders that come to our seminars, our webinars, our conferences, what has happened in other places similar to them that's been successful. We're not going to tell somebody that there's one way to do mathematics, but what we want to do is provide them the opportunity to learn so that they can enable their students. I don't know what's causing that situation, but I work with a group of people in our organization that are looking at the research ideas in order to try and find the solution to these problems.
Well, yeah, I mean,
they're complex.
They're very complex. I agree with that completely, and it's not just about money, obviously. I mean, you seem to acknowledge that. But when you say there's not just one way to do mathematics, I mean, I thought the whole point was there is just one way to do mathematics. I mean, 2 + 2 equals 4. And I wonder, like, when you say we need to teach the different histories of mathematics, who cares? Do you know what I mean? Like, does that actually help kids with the numbers?
Well, you know, I didn't write this paper. I support this paper, and it was adopted before I became president. I teach history and math, and today I was with students, and they were sharing stories of mathematicians through history's lives. And all of them fought against different barriers to be successful. And I think that helps students. But the other thing they're talking about is learning different ways. For instance, when I learned to multiply, probably when you learned to multiply, there was one way to multiply two-digit numbers. And we followed that pattern exactly, and it had lots of steps. But we know there are other algorithms that work. That original, historically, was determined to be the best way to teach math because we couldn't afford paper at the time. So that used less paper to work.
Okay, I get it. And by the way, I'm interested in the history of math, just not in math. Do you know what I mean? That's a history course, not a math course. But really quickly, I mean, is someone going to measure the outcomes here to see whether math scores go up, or when they don't go up, are we just going to blame the test, as we often do? There's something wrong with the test. It's, you know, culturally biased or whatever. Are we going to make excuses for bad scores, or is someone going to be held accountable for these ideas?
I think we're not going to make excuses for bad scores. In fact, we can look at the changes that we have made. There are schools that are detracking, and we find that students, even the top end, the accelerated students, are performing better in high school when they come out of those tracking situations. We look at the data. We have a lot of members that are researchers, and we use research-informed strategies. Okay.
It does feel like politics is entering math, and, you know, like maybe that would be the last place politics should be, since it's inherently non-political. It doesn't have to do with opinions. It has to do with facts.
I agree. Right? I agree with you. We are not advocating for politics and mathematics. What we're
just when you said social
for
justice had a role
children.
in it, that's okay. Connie, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks.